thoughts, is also a motivational speaker and a mind coach, helping you to untrap your mind. In order to elevate your team, your organization, or your business, visit Robert Collins on theuntrappedmind.com or follow him on Instagram at greater7thoughts. That's greater, the number 7 thoughts. Robert Collins says, all success starts with a thought. Now turn that thought into action and go be great.
Good morning. Good morning. It is your host, Mr. RC. You have just tuned into the Greater Thoughts Morning Show. Look, I know you could be doing anything at 8 a.m. other than listening to good old Robert, but you listening to Mr. RC. And this morning, I tell you, as I've always told you, my gratitude is with you. Whether you're in the West Coast and it's early, you here in the East Coast and it's 8 a.m. Listen, today I have a special thing for you. It's a special person. It's a special soul. She goes by, I should reorganize her name. It should be Joy first, because that's what she brings. The joy comes first. You know, they say, joy comes in the morning. So, hey, I'm bringing you joy this morning. It's Rachel Joy Barbeau. Miss Rachel, how are you?
I am fantastic, my friend. I'm so glad we get to finally do this. Let me tell you something. If I always have takeaways and nuggets for people listening to podcasts that I'm on. But if you're experiencing friction in a plan, if you're experiencing speed bumps, roadblocks, dead ends, and it's something that you're supposed to do, it's a calling of yours, oftentimes that's the enemy trying to throw those speed bumps, those dead ends. And you and I have been trying to do this for a while, and you've shown me grace, and I've shown you grace. And let me tell you something, we're getting this done. The devil cannot stop this. And so I'm just so glad we're doing this today.
You've had to show me grace this morning, because this daggone system didn't act like it want to act right.
That's okay. You know how many times look, the reason why I throw the rope back for people, the reason why I show people grace is because 10,000 people have done it for me. And I am only where I am because people have mentioned my name in rooms where I was not located. People have prayed over me. I'm preaching already. People have opened doors for me. I just taught on this week. And I'll tell you later about all the different things I do. But one of the things that I do is I consult and coach a company that is building naval submarines. I'm like, what? Me, God? And I told him, I said, I am only where I am because people have stuck their neck out for me, Robert. And to the point where if I failed, it could have been career suicide for them. But they had a feeling about me. So they threw the rope back for me. They helped me. And I am where I am because people have stuck their neck out for people. And so I will forever do the same. I will forever try to show people grace, and I will forever try to open the door, throw the rope back for people, because I am only where I am because people have done it for me.
Well, look, I want to say what you've done for me for just a moment. So for my listeners, the ones that are here with me every week, you know that a few months ago, I was at a Next Level Speakers Academy event, and Rachel, Miss Joy, I'll say, was one of the speakers. But before she spoke, I entered a place that was the elevator. And as I get off the elevator, my wife and we see this lady, and she's got this aura, this energy, this beautiful essence to herself. That'd be a good way for me to word this. And we had no clue what we were about to embark in as far as getting baptized again. We both had been baptized before, but we were about to get baptized as a married couple. And Jeremy Anderson was the gentleman baptizing me. And this lovely young lady that we saw when we were getting off the elevator is actually the woman that baptizes my wife. It's Rachel. Let me tell you guys, sometimes the connection that God has set up for you is something that you never knew was available. You never knew it was coming. You never knew it was there. And sometimes, not even sometimes, all the times, God's intentionality is before you. And he had us get baptized as not just a couple, but it's something that you got to notice. We were the first married couple that were baptized that day. And we are now the cover of that on their website for couples being married and baptized. and Rachel baptized my wife. And the impression that we felt by Rachel was phenomenal. And I just want to go and just to let you know that, Rachel, before we start talking about this wonderful speaker that you are, before we start talking about how you're in the NFL, you're at this college, you're at that college, you're speaking here, you're doing this, you're doing that. I just want to say thank you for being who you are and letting God shine through you.
It's happy tears. But when I get chills, it means the Holy Spirit's present. And so I got chills when you were talking. And, I got to tell you, Jeremy Anderson, boy, that man, our brother, he is sold out. And what he is doing for people all around the world is just, I can't even put it into words, And I got invited to speak. I got to tell you a backstory before I tell you the amazing story, and comment on what happened with y'all. Is last year. So back it up,
Back it on up.
way up. About 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, I thought, and I tell people to shoot your shot. Like I saw him, I liked him, I sent him a message. And I said, look, I said, if you ever need a speaker for your event, and I said, look, you may not know it by my last name, but I'm Hispanic and Native American. And I said, I got a story. And I just shot my shot, And he didn't follow me. So I didn't know if he'd ever see the message. And about 3-4 months later, maybe it was, I was at my daughter's volleyball tournament. And I just happened to check my DMs. And he said, sister, what you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And so we developed this beautiful relationship. And I didn't ask about the conference again. I just started saying, what can I do for you? How can I help you? Are there, you're incredibly talented, but are there places where you haven't gotten in yet where I can help you? And because I teach on being relational, not transactional, right?
That's
And
good.
yes, yes, so many people text you, call you, email you, reach out to you when they need something. I teach athletes and men and women of all ages, young to old. How do we not be the person that only calls you when you need something? Because gosh, we know those people. It's like, them again. That means how to not be that person is we reach out to somebody when they cross our mind. We reach out for no reason. When God puts them on your mind, you say, I love you. I'm praying for you. If he pings you in your soul, it's happened to me already this morning. God pinged me with somebody. I reached out, and that person was telling me I'm in my lowest spot right now. So I ended up sending her a sermon and praying for her and interceding on her behalf. And so I get to this conference last year, and Next Level blows my freaking mind. Like the people, the community. Tracy, Jeremy's wife, said, do you want to come in for, one day only when you speak? And I said, no, ma'am. These speakers are world class. I want to learn. Here's another nugget. I'm always teaching in my podcast and
That's right.
radio show, appearances. And listen to me, don't get too big for your britches. My mama used to say that. I don't care where I go, what I do, I'm always learning. These feet are never staying in place. I'm leading, I'm seeking, I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm watching other speakers. So last year, here's the story. Last year, my best friend comes with me. Robert, she is a lifelong Catholic, okay? And the past
Okay.
couple of years, she is getting more and more on fire for the Lord. Well, I had no idea that Jeremy was going to do, in essence, what we call an altar call. I didn't know that was part of it. And my sister's with me, and she's next to me, and he's given this altar call, and I feel the Holy Spirit. Just I feel it all over the room, but I feel it.
Yes.
I feel him like right next to me, And I look over, and my sister is like shaking. She's weeping, and all of a sudden, he asked everybody up to the stage, like he did y'all. She goes. She looks at me. She goes. I start bawling, screaming, bawling. Then a mentee of mine that I spoke at his college in 2017 or 18, okay?
Okay.
He messaged me 2 years later. We talked that day. We had a few messages back and forth, but I hadn't talked to him about a year and a half. He said, Rachel, you saved my life. And I said, save your life? He said, yes, the message that you instilled in my heart back in the day saved my life. So my mentee, fast forward, I'm now mentoring him. He's in my life. He's like almost like a son to me. He goes
Yes.
up. So I asked Jeremy last year, this is what proceeded to getting to baptize your wife. I asked Jeremy last year, I said, may I be a part of their baptism? And he said, yes, yes, you can. And so I got to baptize my sister. my best friend is like a sister, and my mentee last year.
Wow.
Baptized, ran up to the room, did my makeup, was downstairs speaking an hour and a half later. And so this year, I came just to help. I was going to stand on the sideline, and I was going to stand on the sideline. And Jeremy saw me standing on the sideline at 6 a.m. in the morning, 5:45, and he said, "Get in this pool." And I said, "Really? I can again?" And he said, "Yes, you can again." And I said, "Okay." And because of that, I got to baptize your wife. And I said this earlier. I've said this to you before, but like recognizes like. You gave me your book. You have an air. Let me just speak life into you for a moment. I don't have the gift of prophecy, but God has given me a real good read on people. You have the air of kingship in you, brother, and you need to walk in that fully. God has given you authority and anointing. He has given you power. He has given you influence over people. You will never, I don't think you will, but never ever use that for anything other than his glory. But he has given you something special, and I recognized it in you when I met you. And I like to call it, I've been studying it a lot lately, the divine masculine. And because I'm
Mm.
working on being in my divine feminine. Okay. And the divine masculine is a man who is in touch with his emotions. He's in touch with his vulnerability. He is in touch with his communication and how to communicate. And he's in touch with God, and he's in touch with his purpose. And because of that, he is living on such a high vibration, a high level, high energy, whatever you want to call it, but he's living out his calling. And I recognized that in you, brother, when I met you.
My God. Thank you. I don't have words to respond to that other than thank you.
You're welcome.
The other words that I would have would actually be silence. And I can't be silent right now on the radio. Thank you, Rachel.
You're so welcome.
You you know, you said so much in that short time. And I have a script that I like to go by with certain things, but I'm about to come off of it. So first thing I'm gonna do, so I don't have to do it later, is Rachel, tell everybody in the world how to follow you.
Yeah. So one of the things that I love, and I just did a podcast on it, I preach on it, I speak on it, is community. I love people. I do every single post, every single podcast, every single newsletter for the people that follow me. I don't let AI write my newsletters. I do it for people. So you can connect with me in a multitude of ways. If you send me a DM on socials, it may be, if I don't see it, maybe later, but I'm gonna send you a message back. So I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, I'm on, all the platforms. And then you can go to rachelbarbeau.com, and then I'm changingthenarrative.org. That's the letter I, the letter M, changingthenarrative.org. And I just love to connect with people, and I'll tell you about it later. But and maybe you and your wife can pray about coming. But I'm hosting a retreat in February down in Amelia Island, and it is super intimate. And I have brought together some of the most amazing speakers on wealth in your soul, like wealth in your soul. Shannon and Shirley actually spoke at Next Level last year, became
Yeah.
my marriage coaches, and saved my marriage. And so they're coming to speak on relationships and marriage and healing. And then we've got an international musician who was picked by Whitney Houston. Like, that's how amazing she is. She was called out by
Yeah.
Whitney Houston, and she's going to come and do a private concert on the beach and teach you about dreams and goals and identity. And then myself, I'm speaking. And so if you go to rachelbarbeau.com, you can find out information on that retreat. And then on Saturday night, it goes from Friday to Sunday. But on Saturday night, we're hosting a ball, a gala.
Okay.
And so that is open for the public. The retreat is only for very, very intimate, small group of people. Because the goal is there, Robert, is I want people to be able to get close to Laura, to Shannon and Shirley, to Jeremy, to myself, and get their questions answered and feel like they got poured into. Because sometimes when an event gets too big, you don't get that one-on-one.
That's right.
But yeah, so they can find out more information there, and I love to connect with people.
And your Instagram handle is?
Rachel Barbeau. Yep.
There it is. There it is. So
Yeah.
now that you know, when the show is over, go follow her. Go to her YouTube page and follow the episode she's talking about, because I've seen it, where she says that her marriage was saved. Is it's a good spot for me to go ahead and just jump in.
Yeah.
Rachel,
Mm.
marriage. So it's something I talked about on a show last week. You know, it's not for the faint of heart.
Mm-mm.
But one thing that you said on that episode, and if you will just expound on it just a bit for me and
Mm-hmm.
for the listeners, is you talk about it's not about your spouse, but it's about you looking at yourself. If you will, expound on the relational aspect of looking at yourself and correcting and changing self.
Mm.
I don't want to get too deep into it. I want you to.
Yeah. So you just said a whole lot. We need to do the Robert and Rachel show. I'm telling you, you just said a whole.
We gonna do that. We gonna do another episode. I
We
don't care
are.
if it's on my show or your show, but we
We
gotta
do
do
it.
another.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. You know, and also too, we'll take this episode that you put out and we'll put it on my feed so that all my people get it too. So we'll do that and we'll do another episode. But let me tell you something. I came into my marriage. I've been married 4 years, been with my husband 8 years. He's got four beautiful children. I came in as I didn't know it, um, a self-absorbed, independent boss lady who who had a lot of wounds, a lot of coping mechanisms that were not conducive to marriage. And I brought those into the marriage. And I had a dog, you know, and I met a man with four beautiful children. You heard me talking to my son before we started recording. They're the lights of my life. I mean, I love them, lights of my life. They are about to be 15, 16, 18, and about to be 21. And two boys, two girls. So, you know, 8 years ago, you can get their ages.
Right.
So it was a lot. And what I will tell people, I just want to say this little nugget too. What I will tell people is if you are dating a person with a child, I'm going to tell you a hard truth right now that I had to learn.
Come on, teach.
If you're dating a person with a child, yes, when you get married, you become one. But when you marry or date somebody with a child, you have to understand, I'm not going to mince words here. You have to understand those children get one childhood. So, if your partner or your spouse has an opportunity to spend it with the kids and give them a functional, not just functional, a healthy childhood, those children have to come first. And that may be to some, what are you talking about, Rachel? I know I don't know them. I'm not friends with them, but I've heard of women who are, I'm just going to speak on women for a minute, that will date a man and try to move him away from his children. Baby, do not be the wedge. Do not let the devil use you to be the wedge between a father that needs to be a father or a mother that needs to be a mother. I just did a training the other day, Robert, and I had four men in the training that were dealing with this, just real talk. I'm not
Yeah.
knocking women, I'm not knocking men, mask off.
Yeah.
These four men of all look different color skin, different color backgrounds were dealing with women that had taken their children away, that had taken them to different states, that had tried to not let them see their children. And one of the men who's in construction was so affected by it that this man is putting himself through law school in his spare time to be a lawyer so he can fight for other men. You want to talk about using your pain
Yeah.
for purpose? That's the first lesson I learned. But the second is that I had to take some deep looks in the mirror. You know, the enemy in me, the coping skills, the all of this the flesh wanted
Come
to
on.
say it's him, he's doing this, he's doing me wrong, he's la 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 la. Shannon and Shirley Austin taught me, which again, what a divine blessing. You talk about divine order. Met them at the first conference, fell in love with them, and then when my marriage was on the rocks and I was about to leave and I was rock bottom, and God told me, you cannot leave unless you give this your everything. You got to give it one last shot. Get all resources you can, because I will not allow you or give you peace to leave unless you try. Otherwise, this will haunt you for the rest of your life. And so I reached out to Shannon and Shirley. She became my marriage coach, and she was the first person who taught me, baby, it ain't about him. You got a lot of healing to do. And I'll tell you, Robert, in our sessions, we never talked about my husband other than how I treated him, other than how I coped, other than how I talked to him, other than my own healing. And I tell you what, I didn't even have to. We were at such a bad place. I didn't have to. I didn't tell my husband I was doing this marriage counseling. I did it on my
Yeah.
own. And slowly, not so slowly, he started to notice. Like I didn't have to say it. I just started walking the walk, right? And
That's
all the
it.
things that I had been asking him for, he started to do because he felt the love and the respect from me and the things that you should feel as a wife. And slowly, that boss lady, independent, I had to take care of myself. I'm not knocking myself. I was a single woman. I had to, but those things aren't conducive in a godly covenant marriage. And slowly, those things began to strip away with the help of God, my own work, and my work with Shirley. And I started to step into this divine feminine where he is the leader, and he is my man, he is my king, he is my everything. I said it before in word, but it wasn't
Yeah.
in deed. And when that changed and I started looking inward, my marriage is now in the best place it has ever been. I am married to my best friend, the hottest man on the planet, my hero, my covenant partner, my everything, my I got your back, your front, your side, baby. Like, I'm the luckiest, most blessed gal in the world because we both did the work and God brought us together.
My God. Let me tell you, if you listen to see, she talks about nuggets and I talk about dropping jewels. So let me tell you, if you didn't catch it, I'm gonna say it again. She said, I said it in words, but I didn't do it in deeds. Listen, everyone. If you don't get anything else from this show today, make sure that the deeds you do go along with the words you speak. Because it's a whole lot of people spewing and pouring out words into empty air.
Mhm.
Just to say they said. Now I'll be the first to tell you, the more you speak, because you heard me say this last week, the more you speak, and I'm gonna have to get into this. There's a couple of different parts of your mind.
Mm.
One is going to be your protective side of your mind. We'll get into the conscious and subconscious of another day.
Mhm.
But one part of your mind says, I don't see the $1 million, so it's not real.
Mhm.
The other part of your mind says, you keep speaking of $1 million, I'm figuring out ways to go get it.
Mhm.
Well, when you keep speaking life and you
Mm.
keep speaking life and you keep speaking life, that life is going to turn into something. It's got to manifest itself into something. And it needs to manifest into your deeds. And
Mm.
so when Rachel says that, it is my hope today that you pick that up.
Mm.
Pick that up. And Rachel, you talking about this thing, and you mentioned it twice now. I'm paying attention. You see, I came off my paperwork. You're talking about how women show up, and you've been talking to these men about how we show up, or how we should show up.
Yeah.
Share with me, please. Share with me.
Yeah. So I want to say this. So there's an old book, and I'm really big on like teaching people. There's an old book called Love and Respect, and it is
By
such.
Dr. Egerich.
Ooh.
So now I got to cut you off. I
Yeah, do it.
led a married couples Bible study for 7 years, and it was based as a foundation on love and respect.
Okay.
That book,
So,
and then cracking the communication code.
okay. Woo!
I love it. Come
Yeah.
on, we
So
in the same vein. Come
I'm
on.
preaching to the choir here, and I love it. I was stepping on his air hose. So I was going out and I was telling people all of these things. He's my king. He's my that. I was speaking to kings. I was doing it, but I was stepping on my man's air hose. I was yelling. I was disrespectful. I would get defensive. I'd feel, like, why are you fussing at me? And then I'd turn around and I'd snap. I was leaning into my archetype, and not all archetypes are healthy. So my archetype is fiery Latina. I'm Mayan,
Okay.
I'm Latina. And so I think you can be a kind of a good crazy. Like, I'm crazy, like bold, but I was leaning into my rah, throwing coffee cups, and not at him, but like just
Yeah.
crazy, like fiery, like rah. And what I learned is that my man is out here fighting battles as a man that I will never be able to understand because I am not physically a man. God made man to be a protector. God made man to be a provider. God made man to be heroic and courageous. And we are made differently in his order. And so what my man needs and what men need in marriage is for his wife to be his peace, to be his soft, to be his place to land, to be his encourager. I am my husband's CEO, Chief Encouragement Officer. I am also my husband's chief CBO, Chief Boundaries Officer. I teach my husband, and one of the divine lessons that I'm teaching him, he teaches me a lot, is how to say no to people. Because my husband is the type that will take his shirt off his back and give you everything he's got to where where it kills him, right? And so I've taught him how to
Yeah.
lovingly say no to people when it's detrimental to him. But I learned I was not my husband's peace in those first 2.5, 3 years. I was his conflict. And he was coming home to a place of ran, 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 ran. And I thought I was doing right, right? I had limited knowledge. Thank you, Shirley and Shannon. I didn't know no better. What I was doing was I was mimicking, and I was talking to my kids about this the other day. I was using the only coping skills that I knew. So when I was younger, my mom and stepdad, um, an alcoholic at the time. He's completely changed his life. Forgiveness is a beautiful thing. He walked me down the aisle 4 years ago. But at
Mhm.
that time, I lived in a toxic, abusive household. And so my mom and I would leave a lot. And so I picked up running as a coping skill, Robert. And so anytime my husband and
Yes.
I had a fight, I would say, well, I want a divorce. I want a divorce. Or I would literally leave the house and go sit my sad behind in a hotel. Like I wouldn't go anywhere. I wasn't doing nothing. I'd just go sit in a hotel. Till finally he said to me one day, you please stop leaving. That triggers me. That, based on things
Mm.
that I've been through in my past, I need you to not leave. Go to the other side of the house, go lock yourself in the room, go do whatever, but please don't leave. Baby, that was the brother. That was the last time I went out that door and physically left that house because my husband was courageous enough to tell me what he needed. And I
Mm.
said, is this running serving me? No. Is this yelling, conflict, stress, fight or flight, dysregulated nervous system? Is it serving me? It is not. And so I looked in the mirror and started to do the work.
Wow. We don't have but a couple of minutes left. Our time is gone fast. But I'd have to unpack some more of those jewels
Yes,
that you
please,
speak.
please, please.
The boss lady, pay
Oof.
attention. The boss lady had to realize that she was being a boss to everybody else, but not to her own emotions, not to her own love life, not to her own spouse.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one piece that I have to bring up.
Mm-hmm.
I have to bring this up. You dropped this one out there. You said that you were saying that you wanted to leave,
Mm-hmm.
but you weren't. But God told you that you weren't going to feel right unless you did your part.
Yep.
Look, men, that's a woman talking, a boss woman. A lot of times we talk about we want a woman that's a boss, and we're not always prepared for the things that come along with a woman that's a boss because
Mm-hmm.
they need healing too. They've been through things too. You know, if you're dealing with an adult, they've been in a relationship before this relationship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so the word tells us as men love your wives like Jesus loved the church and gave himself up for her. So the fact that her husband didn't run, he stayed in the gap for her.
Yes, he
That's a
did.
piece that you men that are listening that's considering divorce today need to remember. You need to give yourself up for her because when you do, God will impress
Woo!
something on the wife that will be a lovely thing as well.
I
And
have chills. I
we're
just have to tell you this. I told you when I have chills, it means the Holy Spirit's present and I'm just
yeah,
covered in chills. That is going to help heal somebody's marriage. I can just go ahead and tell you that part. And we got to do a part 2 and maybe even 3, but that's going to heal somebody's marriage.
yeah.
Can I add one more very short thing? I'm writing
Talk
about
to
it
me.
in my second book, but right around that time when I was contemplating that, and God said, I will not give you peace. If you drive out of here, you will not have peace for the rest of your life. You will always wonder unless you do the work. And right around that time, a friend of mine, who's at my retreat, who's speaking at my retreat, he leads men, and it's not just about wealth; it's about soul. And he said he called and he said, Rachel, he said, do you still love your husband? Because I told him what was going on, and I
Yeah.
wanted him to go to one of these retreats, but I didn't know if he would do it. And he said, do you love your husband? And I said, yes. And my husband had just lost his father. And he said, you got to stop saying you're going to leave. You got 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You need to go sit in front of your husband and say, I will not use the D word again. I will not threaten to leave again. He said, your husband just lost his father. I cannot explain to you what it's like when a man loses his father. And then all of a sudden, on top of that, he's got a wife that's got 1 foot in and 1 foot out in the marriage. He said, can you imagine how little peace he has? And he's grieving. He said, you need to, if you're a queen, you need to straighten your crown, go in there and tell them, go in here and tell him, I am going to stop saying that.
Y'all gonna have to tune in for the next episode because we got to do it again. Our time is up. Before I leave, Rachel, I got to remind you one thing. All success starts with a thought. Take those thoughts, turn them into action, and go be great. God bless.
In the mirror, face the truth, I see the shadows play. This was about pushing my dreams away. Worries creeping, got me feeling so confined. But in this journey, I'm crafting a stronger mind.